back on the record then in State versus Brooks. Appearances are as they were this morning. Do we have Ms. Gajewski available?
She's right outside the door.
All right, bring her in and we'll bring the jury in as soon as she's up here for her cross-exam.
State that I do consent to that name, nor do I know any individual by that name.
Your lack of consent is noted for the record. All right, go ahead.
Also, before the record, on the record, before the jury comes out, I would like to direct Your Honor to a case, United States versus Cotton, 535.
Mr. Brooks, if you have a motion, you need to put it in writing, and then I will address it. I'm not going to deal with any oral motions right now. So if you're asking me to reconsider something, you need to follow the proper procedure.
What is the proper procedure, Your Honor?
I've told you repeatedly what a motion is. So, and if it's a reconsideration, 806.07 is the statute I would direct your attention to.
It's not a reconsideration. It's just bringing up the subject matter jurisdiction again. Which
Sir, I've already dealt with this repeatedly. So any further times you want me to address it, you need to put it in writing for the court to consider a proper motion with the relief that you're requesting, the legal basis, and the facts upon which you are relying.
I have that here, Your Honor.
Not just simply a case. I want a motion.
I've put in several motions that have yet to be
Sir,
answered.
I've already addressed them. The jury's on its way out. I'm not going to delay the start of this cross-examination for this argument yet again.
It's not
I've
an
already
argument.
addressed it. The fact that it's the afternoon doesn't mean I need to address it again. Jury's coming out.
It's going to continue to be brought up. It's going to continue to be brought up, Your Honor. It hasn't been proven that you have jurisdiction, that this court has jurisdiction. I think it's relevant. Subject matter jurisdiction can't be forfeited or waived. You know that. By not answering, Your Honor,
Please, the jury's coming out.
by not answering, Your Honor, you're agreeing to a tactic agreement. Is that a judicial determination that you don't have to answer? I'll take that as a yes.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Brooks, you may question the witness if you have any questions for her.
I don't consent to being called that name, as I stated before. I will note that, like that
The
noted for the
defendant can
record.
question the witness then.
Is that noted for the record, Your Honor?
Ask your questions, please.
Is it noted for the record, Your Honor? It was a few exhibits that you stated on record that you weren't familiar with seeing. Would that be fair to say?
Once clarified, I did say that I remembered seeing them.
So you saw those videos before today?
Yes,
About how many times do you recall seeing them before today?
just once.
Do you recall who showed them to you?
Yes.
You stated for the record and for the jury?
Can you repeat that?
Can you state who showed you the videos for the record and for the jury?
Yeah, the state.
And who would you be referring to when you say the state?
The three seated next to you.
Are you referring to the opposite table next to me?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that. She identified the three prosecutors sitting at the prosecution table.
No objection.
The record will so reflect.
Were you expecting to testify?
Yes, I got a letter in the mail.
Do you recall if that letter was a subpoena?
Yes, it was a subpoena.
You frequently referred to the vehicle as the car. Do you recall those statements?
Yes.
So, for clarification, what type of vehicle did you see that day? Was it a car?
It was a Ford SUV.
And how were you able to determine the make and model of the vehicle?
Objection. Witness did not describe the model.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
So when I first saw it, I made a point to figure out what car it was, not the license plate. And then as the vehicle got closer to me, I saw the Ford emblem. That's how I knew it was a Ford.
And during those determinations of the make and model of the vehicle, did you catch a description of the driver?
No, I did not.
Any reason why you would be more focused on the make and model of the vehicle instead of who was driving the vehicle?
I can't tell you why. I just made sure I knew what the vehicle was.
And you didn't try to see if you can spot a license plate at any time?
It all happened way too fast.
So would it be fair to say that it happened fast enough for you to not be able to make out the model and make of the vehicle?
No, I knew exactly what it was.
But not exactly who was driving the vehicle?
No, I did not look who was driving it, just the make.
You stated that you observed some girls from your dance team in the hospital. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you stated that a few of them were laying on the ground?
Yes.
Any idea why they would be laying on the ground in the hospital?
Because there was so many people, there wasn't enough room. So people were standing, sitting, and laying on the ground because the rooms were overflowed.
Were they being attended to at that time?
Nope, because there was too many people.
Did you recall feeling like maybe they should have been attended to, seeing as how they may have been seriously injured?
The nurses were attending to who needed it immediately. The nurses were doing the best they could.
So it would be fair to say that the girls that you observed on the ground weren't of immediate concern to the nurses at that time?
At that time, they weren't.
Were you injured in any way during this incident?
I was not.
And you testified earlier to the approximate speed of the vehicle. Do you recall what your answer was?
Yeah, about 55 miles per hour.
And how were you able to come to that determination?
Because I've drove for a couple of years now, and that's just the number that came to my head. Because when I drive, I know what 55 feels like, and I know what 25 feels like, and that was just my best guess.
So it would be fair to say that you were making an assumption. You didn't know for sure.
Nope. Yeah, that was just my best guess.
In regards to your dance team, did you observe anyone struck?
I can't say I remember seeing a vehicle hit them. I remember seeing bodies in the air and on the ground.
So at that point, it would be fair to say that you didn't know if the people that were on the ground or in the air or whatnot were in fact struck by a vehicle.
Well, I did know it was the vehicle because I turned around and I saw the vehicle coming towards them. And then I think I blacked out until they actually were in the air and on the ground.
By blacked out, what do you mean by that? State that, what that means for the jury and for the record.
So I can't see anything, but I can hear it. So when I say blackout, I mean I can't visualize it, but I can hear it happening.
Was that the first time that you ever had a blackout?
Yeah,
So it's never happened before that day?
never.
Any idea what caused it on that occasion?
No. Stress, shock.
Do you recall if anyone was walking directly next to you at the time of the incident?
I was walking next to the girls on my team that got struck.
Do you recall making a statement that everything happened so fast,
Yes.
but not fast enough for you to identify the vehicle?
Nope. I remember exactly what the vehicle was.
About how close would you estimate the vehicle came to you?
I don't know.
Did it get close to you?
I don't know. I blacked out.
So at what point did your memory go fuzzy?
All of a sudden, I don't remember anything. I can hear it, and then after, I remember seeing the bodies. So I would say I blacked out from when I saw the vehicle to after it passed.
Any idea how long that may have been, roughly, if you recall?
A second.
So pretty much like the snap of a finger.
Yeah, because it went by so fast.
And from your recollection, that was quick enough for you to miss anybody being struck.
I blacked out, so I didn't see them physically get hit.
Do you recall at any time reading or seeing a complaint in this matter?
No.
Do you recall at any time filing any claim in this matter?
No.
Would you consider yourself a party to this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. On relevance ground.
Do you recall if you were contacted by the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled, she may answer.
Can you say who the plaintiff is?
I'm asking you, are you aware of the plaintiff? Were you contacted by the plaintiff at any time?
I don't know what the plaintiff is.
The plaintiff would be whoever is bringing the claim for the charges in the matter.
So not. Then yeah.
Objection.
Yeah, what? You were contacted by the plaintiff?
Objection.
She answered yes. I'll answer grounds.
An objection, hold on.
Objection. Move to strike
Grounds.
legal analysis.
Grounds.
And the defendant has testified.
I'll sustain the objection. I'll grant the request to strike the question and the answer for the reasons given by the state.
Who were you contacted about testifying?
The state.
And that, I'm assuming the state of Wisconsin, correct?
I just know them as the state. Right there.
Right there, as in referring to the prosecution table?
Correct.
Let the record show that she identified the state as the three attorneys at the prosecution table.
No objection.
Record will still reflect.
And do you recall having a conversation with the state?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you would identify the state as the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained.
Do you see the plaintiff in the courtroom today?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
So as far as you know, in your opinion, who would you say is the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
And when you visited the hospital, how did you learn of the injuries to any of your dance team partners?
The only injury, well, not even injury. I only knew Julia had something wrong with her brain at the time because they saw spinal fluid coming out of her nose.
And were you told that directly from a doctor?
I heard them freaking out and rushing her to a CT scan because I was right next to her, helping them as she seized and vomited.
So you overheard from the nurses what the diagnosis was.
Yes.
What about for Sam? Were you told directly by medical professionals at that time that you were able to see her of any possible injuries?
I wasn't told by them. She actually called me.
Can I strike that answer for hearsay, Your Honor?
No, you asked the question.
But the answer was hearsay.
But you asked the question.
Any, for example, like GoFundMe's or donations or anything for the victims? Were you aware of anything like that going on in the days after the incident?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you still currently a member of the dance team?
I am not. I do not work there anymore.
And was that decision made by the incident, or was it just a personal decision?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
You testified earlier to having the blackout and that being the first time that happened. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Have you had any blackouts anytime since that day?
No.
First and only time would be that day.
Correct.
No further questions.
Can you read your rep?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Kajewski, with respect to that blackout, you testified that you don't have a visual memory of the SUV actually striking any girls that day. Is that right?
Correct.
You do have a visual memory of the immediate aftermath of the strike?
I do.
Overruled.
And what is that memory?
Objection. Hearsay.
You may answer. It's overruled.
Just pure chaos. Shoes everywhere, palms everywhere, bodies, people screaming, running around. Just chaos.
When asked on cross-examination what caused your blackout, you said stress and shock. You remember giving that testimony?
Yes.
At any time in your life before November 21st of 2021, had you ever witnessed an SUV drive through a group of young women?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
No.
What about any time since November 21st, 2021?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
No.
Did you participate with your dance team in the Waukesha Christmas Parade on November 21st of last year?
Yes.
So we've played about 11 seconds for you there. Do you recognize that video?
Yes.
Have you seen it before?
Yes.
What does it show?
It shows a car hitting some of our girls.
Is that video an accurate depiction of how the events unfolded that day?
Yes.
I'd move Exhibit 36 into evidence and ask for permission to publish.
Exhibit 36 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Your Honor, is the video playing at the right speed?
My understanding it will be.
We'll double check for Mr. Brooks. Can we make sure that we've got it at 100%? Yep.
It just wasn't. It had to be turned up. So that means when it was just showed, it wasn't playing at the right speed.
I think I can just very simply clarify. To adjust the speed, you have to change it to see what it's set at. So it was at 100%, and it is now back at 100%.
Thank you.
I object to that for the record. Clearly wasn't at the right speed. Objection.
Okay, I'd like to go back to the beginning of that, please. We're going to slow that down, Miss Sutton, and I'd like you, at a certain point, we're going to pause, and if possible, if you can, I'd like you to identify some people in the frame for us, okay?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to play from the beginning at, can we reduce it, please, to 40%? And turn the sound off.
I see one person laying on the ground in this frame. That is Vivian.
What's her last name?
Darrell.
Are you able to identify anybody else who's depicted in the video at this point?
I believe that's Olivia Stover in the left.
Mark it as Exhibit 36B and to enter it into evidence, please.
Objection, you can see face.
Your objection is noted. 36B is received.
Ms. Sutton, can you walk us through your memory of what happened as the SUV began to go through your group?
I heard some yelling behind me, some screaming, and I looked over my left shoulder. And just as I looked over my left shoulder, there was a red car that drove through. By the time I looked, it was already hitting our girls.
You know who Charlotte Darrell is?
Yes.
Can you explain for us her relationship to the extreme dance group?
Overruled. You may answer.
She is the older sister of two of the Waukesha extreme dancers.
When did you see her? After the SUV went through the group, when's the next time you saw Charlotte Darrell?
Weeks later at the dance studio.
Okay, and did you make any observations of Charlotte at that time?
She was on crutches.
Do you know why she was on crutches?
Overruled.
She was hit by the car that drove through.
During the parade?
Yes.
The red SUV we saw in the videos you watched?
Yes.
Okay. What about Grayson Darrell? Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Who's that?
He is the younger brother of two of the Waukesha extreme dancers.
When is the next time after the SUV came through your group that you saw Grayson?
Weeks later when he was discharged from the hospital after being hit from the red SUV.
Okay. And what personal observations did you make of Grayson at that time?
He had a large cast on his arm. I believe he might have been in a wheelchair or crutches.
Can you describe for us the uniform that your girls were wearing that day?
White Santa hats with light-up headbands attached to them, white light-up gloves, and white pom-poms.
Could we please display for the witness only exhibit number 102?
This is a red SUV that is smashed up. And there's a white light-up headband on what used to be the side mirror.
Do you recognize that white light-up headband?
Yes.
What is it?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
That is one of the headbands that was over our girls' white Santa hats.
Any questions for this witness?
Yeah. When did you first notice a vehicle approaching?
I heard screaming and yelling behind me, and that was when I looked over my left shoulder.
Do you recall how close the vehicle was to you at the time where you looked over your left shoulder?
It was on the left side, and I was on the far right, so it wasn't very close to me.
Were you able to identify any driver of the vehicle?
No.
Would it be fair to say that you referred to it, the vehicle, numerous times as car?
Yes.
Would it also be fair to say that you then identified it as an SUV?
Yes.
So what exactly did you see? What type of vehicle did you actually see, an SUV or a car?
It was an SUV.
Any reason why you would refer to it as car?
I refer to all cars as just cars, no matter what they are. If it's a truck, it's still a car.
would it be fair to say that certain vehicles look different than others?
Absolutely.
At what point do you recall hearing that there may be an active shooter?
When I was gathering the girls who hadn't been hit, a man came up to me and said that there was an active shooter amongst all of that.
Do you recall if that was somebody marching in a parade or a spectator, or
I'm not sure.
were they any law enforcement?
No.
Were you able to identify the driver?
No.
Were you able to identify a license plate number?
No.
Were you injured during the incident in any way?
No.
Do you recall in the statement that you gave to Detective Schwartz that you observed people running towards the sidewalk?
Yes.
Did you see anyone on the sidewalk struck by the vehicle?
No.
Do you recall stating that you were waiting inside of a building for what seemed like a long time?
Yes.
And what would you estimate time-wise what time frame that would be?
Probably.
Just object here and ask for clarification about what building we're talking about.
Sustain us to the form of the question, please rephrase.
Well, from the report, it just says they needed to seek shelter inside of a building, so it doesn't say the name of the building in the report. I guess that's why I didn't refer to a specific name of the building.
Just ask your question, Mr. Brooks. Please rephrase.
How long would you estimate you seeked shelter?
Probably around an hour.
Do you recall in your written statement saying that it seemed as if something was wrong with the vehicle?
Yes.
And what would you, from your recollection, what would you say was wrong with the vehicle?
It was going very fast. I thought maybe there was brake failure happening because it was going so fast.
And what made you come to that conclusion?
Because there was a car driving through a parade instead of slowly rolling through like the other vehicles.
So it would be fair to say your initial thought was something was wrong with the vehicle.
Yes.
Did you see any smoking from the vehicle, any damage to the vehicle at that point?
No.
Did you see anyone struck after the vehicle passed you?
Yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows?
I do not recall.
Do you recall any windows being down or anything like that?
No.
Do you recall anything being tossed from the vehicle, falling out of the vehicle?
No.
By how long would you approximate you watched the travel of the vehicle after it had passed you?
I didn't watch the vehicle after it went past me. I was looking at the dancers on the ground.
What is your current assignment as a detective?
I'm in the computer forensics unit.
What type of things do you do in that unit?
Analyze digital data, digital video recorders, cell phones, regular computers, pretty much anything that can hold digital media.
Okay. Did you conduct a speed analysis in this case?
Yes, I did.
Can you walk us through when you set out to conduct a speed analysis? First of all, what is it, and how do you go about conducting that analysis?
Basically, throughout reviewing video for this incident, we wanted to determine if there was a way to get an accurate speed. We had to determine what an accurate frame rate was. Most surveillance systems have what's called a variable frame rate. In defining a frame, basically a video is a series of still images or frames placed a device in front of each camera called a however that can vary. We could take a screenshot of that 3D scan which measures I was able to bring that into Input software to begin. Once I had that done, brought the screenshot of the 3D scan in. So we brought a partial video in. We began to compare points from the 3D scan and did that over a number of points, and then that enables us to lay. Then that's where we started bringing in the lightboard video to find out the timing, to find out how many milliseconds. What that does, it then gives me a low end and a high end that I can use for a margin of error. So I was able to completely overlay the vehicle to travel video onto those 3D scans. I could start at frame 35, and then I can use a slider to go back and enables me to overlay it, or just then I could take and measure the distance from that. Once I had just the 3D scan to the last point and frame 60, I was able to input that. I was able to calculate different measurements of 0.838 seconds and the 0.830. It told me that when I did that within the software, 0.7477 meters travel during those frames in that amount of time.
And that resulted in, what's your ultimate conclusion?
33.7 to 34.6 miles per hour.
You stated earlier that in reference to traveling through frames that sometimes you may encounter problems with the estimation. Would that be fair to say?
No, I don't believe that was my testimony.
You testified to at one point or another that sometimes exact timing of speed could be a little inaccurate.
No, I don't believe that properly characterizes.
What were you referring to at that?
I was referring to that digital video recording systems, surveillance systems, they use something that's called variable frame rate. I can't say that every single one does, but almost all of them do. That from frame to frame, it could change by a millisecond, hundreds of milliseconds.
So there can be sometimes miscalculations. Is that fair to say?
I don't believe so in the way we performed it, no.
Well, I was referring to the process in general, which you just stated that sometimes by milliseconds, hundreds of milliseconds, a millisecond, that sometimes there can be miscalculation.
I'm not sure I'm completely understanding the question. Are you asking in this specific example or just in general?
The process in general.
Somebody conducting an analysis a completely different way, it's possible, but in this analysis from my training experience is the most scientifically possible way we can do it.
And before this occasion, had you used the same method that you used for this occasion?
Yes.
How many times?
I had not used it in a live case yet. This was our first chance to do this, but I had done it a number of times in our training examples.
But the first time you've done it in a live case?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say that that's like the first time it's being used?
In the city of Waukesha or in general? I'm not sure I'm understanding.
Is it fair to say that this specific investigation was the first time that you've used it?
Did I personally use the software or that
Yes.
somebody has used it?
You.
This was the first time I personally used the software, as our agency recently purchased it, and this was the first case we were able to use it on.
Would it be fair to say that usually anyone's first time using new technology, there would be a learning curve? Would that be fair to say?
I would say no.
So you would say you came right into using this new technology the first time you've ever personally used it and knew exactly how to work it?
I would say over my career, especially with conducting digital forensic examinations, I had over 1,500 hours of training in various aspects. I'm certified computer examiner certifications with the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. I obtained along with other certifications as well, put on the training for this process, for this device, for tend to follow principles throughout all the different disciplines. And the training's quite intensive, quite difficult, so over that time, you develop the skills necessary to be able to start using software, using your techniques to do these investigations right away.
So you're stating some pretty nice credentials there, but you also just said that there's some difficulty in the training. Would any of that difficulty lean towards the learning curve of working the software?
In my opinion, for myself, no.
So you pretty much can come into new technology and just know exactly how to work it. You're just ready to go.
Objection, argumentative, and
Grounds.
answered.
Grounds.
Overruled, he may answer it.
This particular, if we're talking strictly about video analysis, along with class using the video analysis run by the Secret Service Institute, obtained, and then I also several certifications. Having approximately 80 hours of training through the video software, this was not much of a learning curve, as I had previously been using Input A software for approximately 2 years.
So this new technology was a variation of, well, let me back up a bit. What you're saying is this new technology was a variation of technology that you had already previously been using.
Objection. This characterizes the evidence.
Grounds.
This is not new technology.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Around what time did you do this analysis?
Somewhere around the middle of August. I can't remember the exact date.
So pretty recent.
Yes.
Any idea why so long, considering that this matter has been going on for roughly a year?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Grounds.
For the last 3 to 5 minutes.
Grounds.
Overruled, he may answer.
All the proper equipment, the proper training, all the proper documentation, certifications for myself and the device.
Would it be fair to say that that's a pretty lengthy amount of time to wait to do an analysis in a case that's a pretty big case?
No, I would not say that.
Have you ever had that sort of delay before in any other live investigations?
I can't recall specifically if there's been something that delayed our analysis of another piece of evidence, another investigation, but there is a delay to sometimes purchasing equipment.
So there's a delay because of the financial part of the investigations, or I'm not sure I'm getting with.
Sometimes there can be.
Any idea how that might apply to this live investigation?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
How the financial part of the equipment, and as you said, sometimes things can get expensive. Would that apply to this live investigation of why the delay was so long?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled, he may answer.
Yes, I believe in January, again, is when we first started looking at this. We had to obtain the funding, schedule the training, wait for the company to host the training, and all of those things before we were ready to proceed with it.
Do you recall who you were referred to do the analysis?
As far as
basically who tapped you to do it? I'm quite sure you're not the only person that does what you does out of your department. Would that be fair to say?
no, that would not be fair. I am currently right now the only one certified in forensic video analysis.
So who tapped you to be the video analysis for this particular case?
I was the only one at our agency that would be able to perform that at this time.
Who contacted your agency?
Detective Casey.
So would there have been someone else tapped to do the analysis if it wasn't for this new method?
I was concerned with video analysis, and I'm the only one at our agency that can conduct video analysis at this time. As far as other methods outside of digital forensics or forensic video analysis, I wouldn't have any expertise or knowledge to speak on those.
I'm a little confused because do you do video and speed analysis or one of the other? Because you just stated, and I think it would be fair to ask, did you just not state that this was pertaining to speed analysis?
I am trained to measure speed from strictly video analysis. I am not trained to estimate speed through other means of investigation.
So how were you able to come up with an analysis of the speed in this investigation?
Based on the technique that I described earlier in my testimony,
Well, let me back up. Was there any other technology that you could have utilized that same method without a delay?
Objection asked and answered.
Ground.
Sustained.
You stated that you've done speed analysis numerous times. Would that be fair to say?
in training examples, not in an investigation done by our agency.
So it'd be fair to say you yourself haven't done very many speed analysis.
I couldn't give you a firm number of how many we did in training over that time, but no,
Not we, you. I'm asking specific to you yourself.
outside of this current investigation, I have not currently performed any for any other agency yet, no.
So would it be fair to say that maybe you could have been off on a few of your analysis, being that it was your first time doing it in a live investigation, as you coined it?
No, I would not say that.
Grounds.
Hold on. What's the objection?
Calls for speculation and argumentative.
Grounds. Better grounds than that. Is it fair to say that someone else a little more experienced could have been tapped to do the speed analysis instead of yourself?
We didn't have anybody more experienced in this area or our agency for this particular method.
Is it possible that a different agency could have been tapped to do the speed analysis?
Objection. This is outside of the witness's
Grounds.
personal knowledge.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Would it be fair to say that you weren't the only one being trained through video and the like?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
You stated that you had to be trained in this form of doing the analysis. You stated the classes were, I think, from somewhere from May to August, you stated. Would that be fair to say?
Yes,
What I'm asking is, were you the only person that was taking those classes?
there were people from other countries, other states,
From any other departments that you know of?
not that I'm aware of.
So it would be fair to say that you're not sure.
I don't know who has exactly what piece of software in each location, but I have not heard of anybody else in this area having the ability to do the speed analysis through video.
So it would be fair to say you're not sure.
As to, could you clarify one more time, please?
I was pretty direct.
Mr. Brooks
As far,
He doesn't understand your question, that's why he's asking.
did you know of anyone else that was taking the same training to operate the same equipment and technology that you were?
Personally, no, if that's what you're asking.
So it would be fair to say that you're not sure.
I can say with confidence that nobody in the classes that I was enrolled in were from the state of Wisconsin. There were people from other countries, other states. That's really all I would know about that. I don't.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
Typically during our classes, we go through an introduction, where we work, where we're from, where we work, who we work for.
So it's kind of like, because you did state that they were kind of like video, so I'm assuming that would be online. Would that be fair to say?
It was live online training, yes.
So it would pretty much be like a classroom from an online setting.
Objection asked and answered, and I would, relevance.
Grounds.
It's been asked and answered, so sustain. Next question.
Do you recall about what date you started the analysis?
I
Asked and answered.
Grounds. So when did you actually start to do the analysis? What date was that?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
And do you recall when you actually turned in the analysis information?
I believe it was around August 23rd, right around there.
Do you recall who you turned the announcer's information in to?
I turned it into my supervisor, who then electronically forwarded it to the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
Any idea how long it took for it to be viewed?
No, I do not know.
The video in question from Bosco's Social Club was recorded during the Christmas parade on November 21st of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you were to clean slate, take that video file, start your calculations here today, would you come to the same conclusion in terms of miles per hour over those 26 frames?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
All right, we are officially back on the record. Then appearances are as they were before. We'll bring the jury out, and then the state may call its next witness. So go ahead.
Perfect time for the record to address their subject matter.
The jurisdiction, Your Honor. Perfect time.
The
What?
request to address it is denied.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
It's denied.
Is that a
I'm not going to address it right now. I've addressed it previously. There's no new information. Denied.
Is it a judicial determination you're making, Your Honor?
The record speaks for itself.
Can it be filed in a motion?
I don't understand the question.
Can I file the motion that I've been
I'm not going to
raising?
answer that, sir. I'm not going to direct you to file something or not file something. The jury's coming out.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor? It's a tacit agreement. It's a tacit agreement.
Are you familiar with the annual Waukesha Christmas parade?
Yes, we go every year.
Who were you there with?
My boyfriend, our 4 kids, and my dad.
Okay. Was one of those kids a 12-year-old?
Yes,
What is that child's name?
Isaac. I looked to my right, and that's when I saw a red vehicle coming right towards us. I was hit on my left foot, left leg.
What area of your left foot and left leg?
Objection.
Overruled.
The tire went over my foot.
Did you notice whether or not Isaac was hit?
I didn't know he was hit until after it happened, that he said, "Mom, my leg hurts."
While you were on the ground, could you hear the sound of the vehicle's engine?
I
The objection's noted. It's overruled.
What injuries did Isaac sustain as a result of this incident?
sprain on his left leg.
Do you recognize this screenshot?
Yes, I do.
Is this an accurate depiction of how you looked that day?
Yes.
Isaac as well?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 43 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Where are they in the video?
Your objection is noted. The exhibit number 43 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Can you use your finger and circle Isaac for us?
Yes.
Can we show the witness only, please? Exhibit number 45.
Go ahead.
Do you see either yourself or Isaac in this photo?
I see both.
And is this an accurate picture of how you looked after the vehicle struck you?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 45 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Can't really see.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled.
Can you use that touch screen again, Mr. Ramirez, and circle where you are? That's all I have for this witness. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Quick objection on that last exhibit. Because you just said that.
We'll take that up outside the presence of the jury. Don't let me forget. All right. Then go ahead if you have any cross for this witness.
You went to the urgent care in Pewaukee the next day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, it is.
What caused the day delay?
I was able to see how many people were on the ground needing immediate help, how much blood was on the ground at that time. I knew I was hurt, but I did not need immediate attention as other people did.
So you had went home for the evening and decided to just go to urgent care the next day.
Yes.
So, from your recollection, you weren't in need of immediate medical attention.
I was in need of medical attention, but not immediately.
Any reason why you didn't take your son to seek immediate attention?
He was able to walk out of there with me. He was limping, but he was able to walk out of there with me. So that's why we decided to wait until the next day.
Do you recall giving an interview with a detective agent?
I remember giving an interview. I don't recall his name.
Did you seek to make a report the evening of the incident?
No.
Any reason why?
I was in shock.
So at the time you didn't feel like you needed to make a report immediately? Would that be fair to say?
I got home with a basically mental breakdown. So I was crying when I got home. I did not think of anything else.
Your boyfriend was with you that evening. You stated that you heard him saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Do you know where he went from that moment?
He proceeded to move backwards to not get hurt.
In the videos that you saw, did you see him in the video anywhere?
I can't remember.
So it'd be fair to say that you couldn't see him in the videos that you just saw like 2-3 minutes ago.
I could see myself and Isaac. I remember what we were wearing. I cannot remember what he was wearing.
Any reason why you remember what you and your son was wearing, but not your boyfriend who was present with you at the incident?
Because I'm the one that dresses myself and my child.
Do you recall what you were, well, let me back up. Do you recall seeing the vehicle approach?
I do.
Were you able to estimate how fast the vehicle was traveling at that point when it was approaching you?
I wouldn't know how fast it was traveling.
Did you see the driver?
I did not.
Were there any tints to the vehicle that you recall?
I can't remember.
Did you catch the license plate number?
I did not.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone before it got to you?
Yes, I did.
After it passed you?
Before it passed me.
After it passed you?
I want you to ask the question more fully so it's clear.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone once it passed you?
I did not.
And when you and your son were treated for your injuries at urgent care in Pewaukee, about how long did the treatment last before you were discharged?
We were there for at least an hour.
Why so briefly? Grounds.
Argumentative. Sustained.
Were you given any pain medication during your treatment?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
I was not.
Do you recall it being pretty loud out there that evening?
Yes, I do.
Pretty windy, pretty cold?
I can't remember.
It'd be fair to say it was chilly enough to wear a jacket or a coat. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that maybe it was windy enough to wear a winter cap?
Yes.
Do you recall if you were wearing a winter cap?
I do.
And do you recall if you had it pulled low, possibly over your ears?
No.
You don't recall?
I was wearing a headband. I was not wearing a cap.
It'd be fair to just say that you just said you was wearing a cap.
No, you asked if I recalled if I was wearing one. I said yes, I recall.
That you were wearing a cap.
I recall if I was, and it was a winter headband.
I might have been confused. I apologize.
Ask the next question, please.
I don't consent to that now, Your Honor, for the record.
On cross-examination, you testified that you saw other people get struck before the SUV got to you and your family, right?
Yes.
What group in the parade was in front of you at the moment that the SUV got to your family?
Extreme dance.
Did you see those girls get hit?
I did.
Did you see the aftermath after the SUV went through that area?
Yes, I did.
Based on what you saw with those girls getting hit, if you and Isaac had been standing 18 inches to the north, do you think you would have delayed until the next day to seek medical treatment?
Objection, that's subjective.
Sustained.
I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
Any other issues from either party today? From you, sir?
We still got the issue about the 13th subpoena.
So my understanding is you filled it out, or do you need to fill it out?
It's been filled out. I
Yes,
just wanted to know. I didn't know when it was going to be addressed.
So
And
my understanding, and let me confer with the state, did the subpoena get turned over to the state? The 13th subpoena.
I don't believe it has, no.
It's the witness is the one who the state previously advised us lived out of state. That's the person we're talking about, correct?
and that's the issue.
So the state's not obligated, I'm just going to cut to the chase. The state's not obligated to make any kind of travel arrangements or otherwise serve the subpoena on someone who's out of state. There's procedures in the statutes. I'm not going to lay those out for you. You're put in the same position as an attorney who's been practicing here in the state of Wisconsin.
For the record, I have to be licensed to be held to the same standard as a licensed attorney. I don't want to get into that because I don't want you to think I'm
I
trying to argue.
disagree with your legal assessment, sir. So your objection's noted for the record. But you're a party to this case, sir, and parties that are self-represented can do things that attorneys can do.
I intended to have 13 witnesses. So if I'm obviously not able to call the 13th witness, how do I get my 13th witness?
I can't answer that, sir.
Would I still be able to have a 13th witness?
You have to name the person. The due date was on Monday. So who would be your 13th witness then, sir?
I would have to look on my original witness list to get the 13th witness. I know that was my target, was 13.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you look through that tonight, and you can advise us in the morning, and if the state wants to object, they can advise me then. But you're going to have to fill out another subpoena then.
That's fair.
And
That's fair.
I can't promise that they'll be able to do that, but we'll see what they have to say tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I do want to state also for the record why I'm able to hear you very well is because I'm actually in the courtroom with you, which I have been the last few days, which is a breath of fresh air.
I would agree with that assessment, sir.
That's why I'm able to hear much more clearly.
All right, thank you for making that record. I appreciate it. Any other issues from the state?
Nothing, Judge, thank you.
All right, we'll see everyone then tomorrow morning at 8:30.